Hey there. Well, today I come out here, I'm trying to do a graft, and as you see, I've already got a cut right here, and it didn't work out. Just wasn't working. So I got frustrated, and I decided to do something different. By the way, welcome to Pawpaw Chronicles and More with Jim. I'm trying to do a graft here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and make this a graft with a Davis. And what I'm going to do is an inlay. You can see the rootstock is much larger than the scion wood, and I'm going to come down here past where I made this cut earlier, and I'm just going to go ahead and start over. Now, one thing I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clean this up, and at the same time put an angle to it. I want to put an angle to it because I don't want water to set on it. I want water to run off of it. Well, it's got some good green color to it. Incidentally, this was a root sucker that I had dug up last year and planted in here, and it's doing very, very well. Now the graft that I'm going to do with this, a lot of people utilize one that's called the bark inlay. Me, I call this one here an inlay, and I'm going to show you the reason why. A bark inlay, normally you'll make two cuts that are corresponding to the diameter of the scion wood that you're using. But because the scion wood is so small compared to this, I'm only going to do one slice down that bark. And when I do that one slice down that bark, I'm going to do my slice nice and straight. There it is. Now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to try to lift the bark. There we go. What I did was I made the cut. One side I left attached, the other side I just kind of moved the bark out a little bit. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and get my scion ready. And I'm going to go with 3 buds. Boy, I'm just dropping things everywhere. And put this back where it belongs. Keep track of it. Another piece of scion wood I could use later on. Drop it in the bag. Stick it back in the cooler. close that up. Try to keep them cool as long as possible. Now I'm just going to go ahead and do my little shim cut. Nice, long and thin. Square it up. Here. Now, go ahead and get my parafilm on here. Now, as you see, right here, I have the terminal bud. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my wrap just below that bud. I've done this like this before, and it works. I got 3 buds that I'm working with, the terminal and 2 side buds. And like I said, I just left that terminal bud exposed. Now, let's tuck her in place. And I slid that right behind that bark. Now it's just a matter of finishing the wrap down to the rootstock. It's going to try and move while I'm wrapping, but once I get it around the rootstock, it'll pretty much stabilize itself in there. A little bit later on, I have a graft that I did like this. Over that way, it was an overlease, and I'm going to expose that graft. And I grafted it last year, and what we're going to do is we're going to take everything loose from it, because I want to freshen up the parafilm that's on it, and we're going to take a look at the wound that has. It's growing, and just wanted to show you the results of that. Now that in there, incidentally, was not a terminal bud. Now this time, I'm going to come over top of the rootstock and start my wrap, because we have to make sure we protect this top from moisture. I'm going to come up over the top of it once again. And put a little bit more on there. And as you see, I like to really cover this top up. Parafilm will decay over a period of time, and later on I'll put a little brace back here, a fiberglass rod, and I will brace everything up, and I'll use construction tape and bind these, keep it all braced up, because the wind will come through there and hit that once it starts growing and knock it off. And that tape will be on there for probably a couple years, or the rod will be attached to it for a couple years. I'm sorry. There. Now, find myself a decent rubber band that's got some thickness to it, that can be stout. Actually, here's one already cut. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap it up with a rubber band to squeeze everything together. Actually, I'm going to go with a heavy duty band here. I want this to be tight. I want it to hold in there tight. I want to mash everything together. That's a much thicker rubber band. I can get more draw on that rubber band because I want a good tight fit on that. I don't want it to come undone. The tighter rubber band or thicker rubber band is a little bit harder to work with, but I can really stretch it and really constrict it down onto that rootstock. You can see how much I'm stretching that, working it. And get it tied off. Got a nice tight fit there. Get it marked what it is. It's the Davis. These tags right here, I just put them on temporarily because when that takes off, I'll put a permanent tag on there. Davis 514. There it is. And I'll wait until it takes off before I put the rod in there to protect it. But I will get this fence on here real quick. There you have it, Davis. Anyways, sorry to take up so much time, but my name's Jim. If you like what you see, subscribe. Any comments or questions you may have, I welcome. Y'all have a God bless day.